You were 18 at the time, weren't you? Around about that age, 18, 19, 20.
When I was 17 when I met Stephen and went to live with Stephen to start with.
Yes. How old was he?
I think he was about 46 at the time.
Was he? And I think an awful lot of people would say to you, or want to say to you, or perhaps are thinking now, you know, it's more than 25 years on. We know John's reasons for doing the film, and he felt it was the right film to do, and he said he felt a certain compassion for the character. But why did you want to go through all this again and help it? Why did you want to encourage renewed interest?
Well, because the interest that's taken place over the 26 years since it happened has been the wrong sort of interest. It's been the interest of morals, my morals, you know, because Stephen is dead after all. And it wasn't correct years ago that Stephen was a ponce, or that I indeed was a prostitute. So I thought that the only way to stop the rumours and the further rumours that and stories that would have been made and are have been made was to come up with the truth.
But then we have the moral argument all over again.
Not at all, because I think that now that the truth has been made, and the truth is now at last here with my book and with this film as well, I think that now will be the end of any more rumour.
Do you? Do you think it
so.
will be, John Hurt?
I hope so. I hope it'll clear a great deal up.
But what do you say to the people who say that the film should never have been made? That, and I think they say it on the whole, don't they? Because they think that John Profumo and his family have suffered enough.
Well, yes. I mean, I've had people say that it shouldn't be made after all. John Profumo is still alive. And I say, well, that is precisely the point. Stephen Ward isn't.
And also for Profumo's sake, because the way that the press have deteriorated the story as the years go by, the story has got worse and worse and more deteriorated, more lies. And so I think that the truth must come out, and also in my book, to put an end to the rumour. I mean, after all, every few months, the press would have me in the paper, Vice Queen, just about something that happened 26 years ago that wasn't correct.
But you're not seriously suggesting that bringing out a film and writing your book in any way helps John Profumo to jail?
I am indeed, yes, because I didn't want to go in the newspaper being called the Vice Queen as I'm bringing up my family. I mean, I would read the paper and read Vice Queen every few months. And of course, John Profumo was hurt by association with myself. So not only was I the one that was having the shame, I was also having the blame.
You said since, though, that you regretted betraying him, as you put it.
We betrayed each other, when probably we should have stuck by each other. But we betrayed each other at... I betrayed Stephen because I felt that he was responsible for the situation that I found myself in, having to go to court. And also, I betrayed him about what he was actually up to.
When you say when we betrayed each other, you mean you and Stephen, not you and John Profumo?
Stephen and I.
Betrayed each
I
other.
see, you were talking about John Profumo.
Yes.
Well, yes, I regret that when the press caught up with me in Spain, and he had denied having an affair with me, I regret that when they interviewed me, I denied it. But after all, I wasn't yet 20, or just.
But John...
And I did admit it when they said, oh, we can't,
Yes.
Christine, what really is the truth?
Yes,
we
and
can't
you
print
then-
it.
you then
And I
spilled the
said,
beans.
well, it was true, really.
Yes.
And I regret doing that, of course.
But John, if there had been no sexual element in this story, it would not have lived on for 25 years in the way that it has, or 26 years. Isn't the whole saga, the present saga of the film and the book, open to attacks that it is just prurient?
I don't think it'll ever go away until the truth comes out. We're always going to have the press make believe and bring people that weren't even involved. I mean, it's been happening this week. There's been interviews in the press by people that didn't even know Stephen and I, virtually. You might have met Stephen once.
But you know that's going to happen. That's predictable.
No, once the book and the film are out, it really can't happen.
If people believe them, but then they go on debating, John.
Well, I think people will go on debating. It's one of those subjects that will be talked of for a great deal of time, but I can't help feeling that the film is going to quash a great deal which is misunderstood.
And also...
Even from the people that were around at the time. I was around at the time. When I was, I suppose I was about 1963, I was 23. And I don't think that I took it as seriously at that time as perhaps one should have done.
Why do you think it made such a big impact at that time? Is it because of what we were saying earlier, that in fact you know, the 60s had begun, and somehow at that stage we didn't realise that perhaps the establishment...
I don't think we knew exactly what was happening sociologically, and it was almost stood as a metaphor for what was happening in society. The scandal itself, of course, the political side, is another thing.
But that was the shock, wasn't it? The shock was that the establishment was susceptible, equally susceptible as the rest of the nation, to the temptations of the flesh.
Well, indeed, yes. I mean, it was really the first time that anything, as Quentin would say, sex raised its ugly head. Yes, finally.
I don't think that's
and people started to talk about it. But I mean, I don't think there's any single reason. I think it's a conglomeration of many factors that made it into something rather extraordinary in our history.
Well, you see, Stephen had to be got, because Stephen was, I'm afraid he was spying. And because Macmillan was incompetent enough not to have realised this when MI5 came to see Stephen in the beginning, I think that when they found this out in 63, early 63, they quickly had to get Stephen for something, but it wasn't quick, you see, because soon they now realised that this man had been spying, and they had to get him, and so they got him they had to make up a whole case against him.
Can I ask you
something?
something?
It just went on for such a long time.
Can I ask you something finally, Christine? Since that relationship with Stephen Ward and the Profumo affair and the Ivanov affair and 25 years and 2 husbands, are there any of these men whom you have actually loved?
I have married a couple of times, and I've also lived with a few chaps, but I probably, after what I went through, I probably was too insecure emotionally to probably really love anybody.
Not even Stephen Ward?
Well, Stephen, if he was still alive today, I would be with him, but it was not a physical relationship, which, by the way of society, isn't the correct way to live with someone anyway.
Christine Keeler and John Hurd, thank you both very much indeed. Thank you.